So now we're on to flexibility. Like I said before, very, very important, especially for your non-athletes. And as we age, flexibility is huge. I'll talk about that here in a second. But when I do these talks to my athletes, and even though this doesn't directly apply to the off-season, I always have to talk about static versus dynamic stretches and when you're supposed to do them, because most of us have been taught wrong throughout the years. So static stretches, anybody know what static stretches are? Anybody know? Okay. Basically, this is a picture of a static stretch. So, toe touch. With static stretches, you're stretching and you're holding that position for a certain amount of time, maybe 10, 30 seconds, and you're doing a couple different sets of that. Dynamic stretches would be more like alternate toe touching. So you're incorporating your movement along with the stretch. Now the static stretches, you can do those every single day, more than once a day, and that's great. The only time you don't want to do the static stretches is right before your game. And that's a lot of research we've seen over the last 5, 10 years has shown that. Doing those static stretches directly before can actually reduce power and can also, in some cases, increase the chance of injury. So it's actually doing the opposite of what it's supposed to. So what you should be doing is warming up, do your sprints, jogging, all that, and then do dynamic stretches. If any of you watched the World Cup, their pregame, they showed part of it, and that was a great workout. They're doing like the high knee to chest kicks while they're running, a bunch of different exercises. And if you still have a coach who's still doing the static stretches, if they want to see some research, I can always pull some up on National Strength and Conditioning Association's website to show that research. Just let me know. So why isn't flexibility important? It reduces the chance of injury, reduces your chance of sprained strains, alleviates stiffness. So in the off season, you've created a lot of stiffness during the year. You want to get back into those static stretches during the off season. And finally, you can also help increase power. I know we've all seen Tiger Woods. He's obviously been in the gym. He works out. It's important for him to have that muscular endurance. But even more important is flexibility. He wants to get that torque, create that head speed, and that's what allows him to get those monster drives. And then as we age, as we get older, if we don't work on our flexibility, many of our activities of daily life get tougher. Tying our shoes, getting something out of the cabinet. They all get harder if we're not continuously focusing on our flexibility. And finally, when should you stretch? Every day. Every morning, every night. Okay, endurance, or for those of you who are just looking to stay fit in the winter, cardiovascular, we want to stay fit. Even though it's cold outside, for you the off season might be whenever it gets below 40 degrees. So during that time, if you love walking in your neighborhood, find somewhere else where you can walk. Find the mall, head to the mall, walk there. If you're part of a gym or you're thinking about it, it's a great Christmas present. Get somebody a gift card or get them a membership to a gym. Then you can incorporate swimming, walking around the track, anything to keep that heart rate up for at least 30 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week, really, is the best thing you can do. So, sports specific. This is something I always also talk about with my athletes. During the season and in the preseason, you want your workouts to be pretty close to the movements you're going to be doing in your sport. So let's say we have someone who's on the track team and they run the mile. You want them doing runs that are at or near that mile. You may have them do some sprints every once in a while so they have that kick at the end. But there's really no benefit to having them run 5 miles every day, because you want their activities to closely mimic the sport they're involved in. But in the off season, you get a little leeway. You can get away from that a little bit, enjoy yourself, have some fun, maybe bring it down to 2 to 3 sessions of 30 minutes per week. And I have this math up here, which can get kind of complicated, but your max heart rate is 220 minus your age. And then you take 60 to 70% of that. But if you're not into math, just think about it this way. If you're going all out and that's a 10, think about what you have to do to get to a 6 or a 7, get that heart rate up. I know Dr. Fink always mentions to our people who are walking or want to stay fit in the winter, start walking and get to a point where you can't talk to the other person you're walking with. Then you know you're getting a good workout. Off season is a great time to try something different. You know, if you've been in the football season, you might be a little bit worn out of football. You know, go to the gym, play basketball, go skating, find some winter sports that you're into. Cross-country skiing, I don't know where you rent those, but that's an amazing workout. If it'll ever snow here, I don't know, sure. But yeah, great workout. Yeah, do different sports, different exercises. Just make sure you're having fun, because that's the best way to ensure that you're going to keep up with whatever program you're on, is by having fun, changing things up a little bit. Okay, then we have basically the same thing with speed. So you want to be sport specific during the year. If you run the 100-yard dash, there's really no benefit to you running miles every day. There's no benefit to that, even though sometimes I see people do that. Or if you're a, let's say you're in baseball and you're not a pitcher or catcher, and you don't need a lot of that endurance, and you're just usually doing 90-foot sprints, or maybe 180, those are the kind of things you want to do. You want to be sprinting, working on your speed. In the off season, like I said before, you can kind of get away from that. Maybe you only want to work on your speed 1 to 2 times a week. You can do different lengths. Just do whatever you can to have fun, like I said before. And then interval training. Anybody have any idea what interval training is? Any idea? Pete? No idea? Okay. So interval training, this one's great for our football players. We have some football players out here, hockey players. Interval training is you combine sprinting with endurance type running. So you might jog at a steady pace for a minute, then sprint for 15, 30 seconds, then you go back to jogging. And the reason that's important for the football players, or basketball players, I would say more so, basketball players, hockey players, is that during the process of the game, you have quick bursts of speed, but you also want to have the endurance to make it through the whole game. So that's a great thing to do during the off season also, but make sure you just do it 1 time a week, because that can be pretty hard on the body.